Hello, everyone. It's the Skull Session Recruiting Podcast brought to you by BuckeyeHuddle.com. I am Marc Givler. We got Kevin Noon here. It's National Signing Day. We're doing our signing day recruiting capsules of all the guys who signed with the Buckeyes here in the 2023 recruiting class. Our next up is Carnell Tate, wide receiver, IMG Academy, 5-star prospect. He has signed with the Buckeyes today. This is another guy, there's so many. I think these receivers are so interesting in this class. We've seen a lot of Carnell over the past couple of years. He's been at Ohio State camps. I've watched IMG both in person and on TV. So for me, maybe personally, this may be the kid I've seen the most of in this class. Kevin, I know you've seen a lot of him too. Your impressions on Carnell, just, what Ohio State's getting here, what you've liked about his game over the past couple of years.
Absolutely. He was a fixture at Ohio State during the camp season, was here a lot. There's a lot of buzz too about Notre Dame. I mean, it was one of these situations with Carnell that were like, okay, he's going to commit to Ohio State. And then he's like, I'm going to tap the brakes a little bit. Notre Dame took its shot. It just didn't really matter at that point. He ends up picking Ohio State. 6'2", 180, 4-star, 5-star, depending on the service that you're looking at. He's a dynamic receiver. That's, I know that's, wow, Kevin, what way to be really descriptive of you. But when you sit there and you look at Carnell's game, you see a guy that's just dynamic. And that's what it ends up coming down to. I mean, he just makes great catches. I mean, right there with the one-handed outside catch. I mean, he can kind of just do it all in terms of what his body control is, going and getting contested balls out there. He is somebody that every program in the nation would, just go nuts to have, and just the toughness there. I mean, and that's something else that, some guys just never have that type of toughness, but that's not going to be an issue for Carnell. He's a tough guy playing a Cadillac position.
I love Carnell Tate's game. I'm kind of unapologetic about Carnell Tate. I think, I think you could ask 4 different people in this business and you might get 4 different answers on who the best receiver in this class is for Ohio State. When I look at, if I had to pick one, if you told me one of these 4 is going to be an all-pro, I would probably go with Carnell Tate. I think I'm going to throw out a really almost unfair comparison. He reminds me a lot of Justin Jefferson. He's about the similar body type, both electric route runners, both great run after catch guys, both guys, they can just go up and moss people, highly competitive. I think when he fills out, because he's still a little skinny, and when he puts on 10 or 15 pounds, as hard as he plays, I mean, he's a physical kid. I think he's going to be an absolute nightmare. Is he as consistent as maybe a Brandon Inniss at this point? Maybe not. I think, again, that can kind of come with it a little bit. I think just a little more consistency at times, but you talk about just physical tools through the roof. Carnell Tate is, again, for my money, I think maybe the highest upside guy in this class at the wide receiver position. I've just been tremendously impressed with him. Looking back on his recruiting process, this one was fun to cover. It was not fun at times for Ohio State fans. I know we had to do a lot of hair brushing on this one for a long time until it really calmed down a little bit. But, Notre Dame at first was kind of the big thing. Well, it was going to be Ohio State or Notre Dame. Then Tennessee got involved. It was going to be Ohio State or Tennessee. And you got people at Tennessee thinking they're going to get Carnell Tate. And there's all these NIL rumors of, Tennessee's going to give him $4 million or whatever the heck it was. Obviously, none of that came to fruition. He actually kickstarted a 3 commits in 3 days, that epic 3 days in June, where it was Carnell Tate, Brandon Inniss, Noah Rogers, back to back to back. Social media going crazy. The legend of Brian Hartline grew, doubled that week. But so really exciting recruitment, Kevin. Just how I guess for you, you're kind of a hybrid guy. You do team, you do some, but I know you, even though when you don't write about recruiting maybe as much, you still follow it. I think you're intrigued by it. I mean, how interesting was this one for you? Just with all the drama there, even though not all of it was actually even Carnell, just nerves of fans, I guess.
Yeah, just a lot of noise out there. I mean, he and his 7-on-7 team, South Florida Express, came to Columbus, I guess over the winter, technically. Maybe it was in spring. He was here. Brandon Ennis was there. I got a great picture of the two of them together. And I know I sent it internally. I said, going to get to use this picture one day. But there were some moments where, if you listen to the Twitter chatters, it didn't sound like it was going to happen. Tennessee really seemed to throw a lot of NIL rumors out there, whether or not they were well founded or not. But remember, they went out and they got themselves their quarterback, Nico, and allegedly it was a pretty big deal, and because of that, they needed to get him a big receiver. And this was sight unseen. This was before we saw the season. This is before we saw the success that Tennessee had out there with Herndon Hooker, and just everything else that they had. But Ohio State just was always there, and Ohio State was always the constant. It was Notre Dame and Ohio State. It was Tennessee and Ohio State, and he committed. And yeah, I mean, maybe there was a visit in there or whatever, but at no point did it ever really feel to those of us that follow things that he was wavering. But he probably could have made everybody's life a lot easier too if he wouldn't have made a visit, would have just came out and said, "No, I'm done." But we know how difficult that is. These 17-year-olds are getting pulled in every direction, and it's only getting worse.
Yeah, this was almost the new age, like this is kind of how things are going to be moving forward with NIL and with all it's kind of the Wild West right now. And I think Carnell's recruitment had a lot of rumors. Again, were some of them BS? Yes, but you know that's going to be kind of how this is probably going to go here until we get some type of regulation on NIL and everything else, because just kind of the kind of the prototype of, I think, what we can kind of expect moving forward is, even if kids are committed and we're going to hear rumors and things are going to happen. I thought, again, I've praised Brian Hartline enough over the years. I don't think he needs much more praise from me, but I thought this was another good job that he did here. Not so much just in like securing the commitment, because I think Ohio State was off to a very good start there early. He grew up, he went to IMG Academy the last 2 years, but he's from Chicago. There's Ohio State, there's pro Ohio State people in his camp. I think Ohio State was a school from very, very early on that had his attention. And if they did things right, they were going to have a great chance. But holding on to him with Notre Dame and Tennessee, with the pushes those schools were making, and then, from Notre Dame's perspective, that's not far from Chicago. It's family. It'd be very easy for his family to come see him there. Um, depth chart wise, he walks onto Notre Dame's campus. Gosh, does he start as a true freshman there? He probably does. They have all sorts of playing time there. And then on the Tennessee angle, it's okay. Even if, whether you believe the NIL stuff or not, that's fine. Let's look at what Tennessee did this year. Tennessee had one of the most explosive offenses in the country, certainly one of the 3 or 4 best offenses in the country this year. Jalen Hyatt has an unbelievable season. He's probably going to be a first-round pick, certainly going to be a first 2 rounds. Cedric Tillman's going to be drafted. So exciting offense, producing receivers. And, Brian Hartline was able to weather all of that, keep the commitment amongst a class of, 3 other studs, and get the signature. I think, again, all of these guys they landed in this class were good, was a good recruiting job by Brian Hartline, but all these kind of had different factors, different dynamics he had to navigate. I thought he navigated this one extremely well.
Well, you also talk about being part of a 4-man class, and generally, Ohio State's going to run a lot of 12. So if Ohio State's out there running 12, you're not going to have the 4 receivers out there generally. So you're getting guys to buy in to be complementary pieces. I mean, I think we're seeing, certainly at running back, there's no reason to be a 30 carry guy per game. I think at receiver, being able to kind of come in waves, even though Ohio State has shown in the past, certainly last season it was very difficult to get away from Wilson, Olave, and JSN. And this year, I mean, with no JSN, it was hard to get away from Harrison Jr. and Abuka and Fleming. But to be able to hold this class together and to be able to have these guys that all recognize, hey, we want to sit there and be part of this same class. We know that it may cost us some catches, it may cost us some scores, it may cost us some notoriety, but with the development that Ohio State's done at the wide receiver position, and week in and week out, and we see what's going on in the National Football League, we see what's going on with Garrett Wilson, we see what's going on with Chris Olave. Even though on Sunday it was a bit of a mixed bag for Noah Brown. Noah Brown had 2 touchdowns for the Cowboys. He's still kicking it in the league. And Ohio State never knew what to do with that guy. So, Ohio State is the it school for wide receivers right now, and Carnell Tate recognize that.
Yep. I think very bright future here. Definitely a guy I think people should be excited to get on campus. I think he's a special talent, and with the development that's been happening at wide receiver, this could be a big time player down the road. All right, we're done with Carnell Tate. We're on to the next one. We will catch you guys here soon. Again, recruiting capsules throughout the day here, BuckeyeHuddle.com, YouTube.com/BuckeyeHuddle, or on your podcast platform of choice. We will see you on the next one.